Hi there guys, hope you're all well and welcome back to another weekly outlook video. So this is pretty much the first video back after the short break. I'm going to be breaking down the dollar index, the yen basket, Bitcoin and oil. What I'm going to be doing is requesting if you guys are wanting to see a certain pair being broken down on a weekly basis, please leave a comment, because to be honest with you, in the past when I've asked people what they want to see, I've not had much of a response besides the odd few people. So I'm going to stick with these just because, as previously explained, you can use the DXY to find good dollar trades, the yen basket obviously for your yen trades, oil is usually good for CAD, and then Bitcoin is simply just in there because everyone loves a little bit of Bitcoin. So we'll start with the DXY. If you are unsure how to use the DXY, there is a previous video on the channel. I will put it in the description so you can see how to use the analysis I'm about to do to further better your understanding of the trading. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So this is the dollar index. Obviously, if this is going up, it means the dollar is getting stronger. If it's pulling back, it means the dollar is getting weaker. So for example, if let's say towards the end of this week, last week, you saw the dollar getting stronger, potentially what you may see, pairs like GU, EU, AU, etc. would be down because the dollar is stronger than the other currency, and that's pretty much the basis of how you can do it. So let's first have a look if there's any untested wicks on the way up. So nice area there potentially for some dollar strength and a pullback. I'd say potentially in and around this area. Obviously, guys, these are old wicks, so potentially, obviously, they're not going to be next week, but they're just areas where you could potentially see a reaction. So these areas here, just based off wicks, are potentially areas I would say the dollar could get strong. So if price comes down, the dollar hits this level, I would look to see dollar strength. So then let's say I had a short lining up on GU, AU, EU, etc., then I could use this as a confluence to enter the trade. Now, let's see if we have a Fibonacci from the start of this move all the way up. So if I'm looking at the 38 fib, is there any confluence? Not really. However, just on its own, because it's only the dollar index and we're not actually entering a trade, it's more just for confluence, these are areas you could potentially see price bounce. And you can see actually here, there's a nice key level as well on this 50. And then obviously as well, where we drew this wick initially, there's also the 61 fib. So these are areas just based off the DXY. If price manages to get down here and bounce off any of these levels, I would expect to see dollar strength. Now, because we are currently in uncharted territory where we've not seen before, I'm going to just draw a quick horizontal line. And then all I'm going to do is go left and see once again if there's any untested wicks above this level here. Doesn't matter how far you have to go back. Obviously, an untested wick is an untested wick. So you can see I'm still going, and now here we go. So if dollar can get there, I'd expect to pull back. Dollar can get there, I'd expect to pull back. And in all fairness, if dollar could get there, I'd expect to pull back. And just there is pretty much it in terms of trades which are within distance. So if I manage to go back to where we were, sorry that it's taken a while. So yeah, if we manage to get here, if dollar gets up here, I'd expect to pull back. Weak dollar, so if you have found a long on GU, EU, etc., that would be good. Used as added confluence, and that is the DXY pretty much summed up, and where I would expect to see the dollar getting stronger and weaker. Obviously, between these areas, there are going to be extra areas where price will react. But just from my analysis here, this is the only thing I'm interested in. These areas here, if I can find a trade whilst price is supporting the bias in and around these levels, you're in for a good trade. So that's the US dollar done. Nice and easy. Yen basket, I'm going to do exactly the same. So do we have any untested wicks? To be fair, I already know that right now the yen basket is pretty much at the lowest it's ever been, so I'm not going to bother going below. Let's go higher and see if there's any untested wicks. So if price can get there, That's good. Price can get there. Obviously that wick here, this is an example of a trade which already played out. If you said there, price came back, tested it, and then obviously dropped. Meaning, if you had this as an example, price came back, you're expecting yen to get weak. Therefore, let's say you found a long on pound yen. At the same time this happened, you're saying the yen is about to get weak. At the same time, I can basically buy the pound against the yen. Then really good trade to be in. So there you go. This is pretty much it. And then one up there. Cool. So they're the trades based off untested wicks. I don't think we have any fibs for buys. Not for me personally, so I'm not going to do that. Let me just have a double check and see if we have any fibs. I'm not going to go into, and I think, to be fair, if you watch a couple of the videos in the past, I go into how I draw my fibs, etc. So yeah, fib is from there. Now, let's have a look. 38 fib, you can see as well, we've got like a nice little wick area around here. So if price can get there, I'd expect a reaction. 50 fib, small reaction. 61 fib, small reaction. But in terms of an actual meaningful big reaction, I think there is probably best. And as well, if price can get there, you're in a good spot. So not as much on the yen basket. Obviously, as mentioned, it is currently at the lowest points it's been pretty much since the chart was a thing, especially on TradingView. So there's not too much to go off. But yeah, these are the areas I would use to find my bias with yen. If price gets here and retests this low here at the 7830 level, then I would say yen is going to get strong. So you could look to short yen pairs, so pound yen, euro yen, Australian dollar yen, etc. Expect to see that obviously move. And then these areas here are for weak yen. So then what you could do is, if the yen is weak, you would look to buy pairs like GJ, EA, DJ, etc. So that is the yen basket. Pretty much done and dusted already. Bitcoin, let's have a look. I personally, I'm going to say this before I chart this, I personally do not trade Bitcoin. So this is more just for the people who request it. So untested wicks, let's have a look. We've got that there. I can see we've got one there. Is there anything around here? I'd say that's one. And these are all just ideas, guys. It's not saying that they are definitely going to work, but they're just areas where price could react. So Bitcoin, in terms of shorts, their area is just based off key levels. In terms of longs, wick there, wick there. And to be fair, I'm not going to go too much further left. I'm literally just going to use this here and say we've got one there. So these are areas just based off untested wicks. Once again, it doesn't mean they're definitely going to happen, but these are potential areas where you may see a small reaction. Let me draw a fib then from the start of this move up or down, should I say. Let's have a look. Let's get it straight. So fib there. Let's have a look. Does anything line up? Now, if I'm looking at this, I'm going to the 50 fib. I can already see there's a wick there on the 50 fib. So that would play for a good trade. As well, 61 fib, I can see we've got structure points around here. That would also make for a good trade. 38 fib, I don't really see much going on in terms of a decent position, so I'm going to avoid that one. But yeah, that is pretty much Bitcoin done. In terms of untested levels, you've got areas like this. And obviously in terms of actual proper trades, where I would see a nice bounce, I'd look for something at the 50 and something at the 61. And I'll make them arrows bigger, just so you know that it's a substantial move. These may just be small pullbacks, but again, a pullback you can still capitalize on. Profit taking on the way down, and then obviously these big moves here are potentially some swing trades that you could get into. So that's Bitcoin done, super simple. Untested wicks, let me draw a few more arrows. Yep, so untested wicks are good for potentially a small pullback. However, if you've got a wick or a key level on the Fibonacci levels, then obviously you've also then got a potential good trade that you can maybe hold. So that is Bitcoin. Going on to oil now lastly. Let's see what's going on. Let's first have a look if there's any untested wicks. So I'm going to say that's an untested wick. I'm going to say that's an untested wick. Let's go up. That is an untested wick. I would say that's already been this wick here. Pull back, retested, push up. That's an untested wick. That's an untested wick. And the reason for this, guys, is simply profit taking. So you've got to picture it from a trader's perspective. Let's say you're long here. So let's say you have bought the break of this high. Where are you going to take your first TP potentially? And again, this is going to depend on the trader, but majority of traders are going to take their TP in and around this area. A trade idea may look something like this. Break above, maybe a stop there or something. First TP looking at the high. So then when you get there, we want to be getting in the market when everybody else is getting out. And it seems to be a very good way to trade. And again, we also have a wick there. Cool. So let me see if we do have a Fibonacci. So that was respected nicely. So here we go. So if we're looking at the 38, and as well, just while we are here, the 50 fib here is in line with this wick. So that's a good trade. And also the 61 there is in line with that. So once again, if we go back to the fee rate of small pullbacks, big pullbacks, I'll draw small arrows here just for small pullbacks, whereas these, you're potentially, your purple areas looking for a big move. So once again, small arrows on the normal wicks, whereas when you've got a nice Fibonacci like so, you're looking for something like that. Now let's look here. So 61 was respected there, and then you can see here 61 was respected again. So no fib in play here. This is oil. So untested wicks, expecting potentially a small reaction, pretty simple stuff, nothing much to go over. However, where we have a Fibonacci and these purple zones, these are where I would expect to see a bigger reaction. So that is pretty much it, guys. I'm hoping you've learned something from the way I've just charted these pairs. Super simple stuff. My Instagram is going to be in the description. I'm also going to put a link to the how to use the DXY video, just so you can see how to use, obviously, this analysis to help your bias. Anything you want to see in future content, please leave a comment or just message me on Instagram. But yes, guys, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next